Hello, today I'm going to be talking about equality with our interviewee who is Mr. Parmish. He's the founder of Godrej India Culture Lab that empower young individuals to share ideas and thoughts about their business. He also he did this to understand the diversity of the Indian innovative tech business industries, therefore exploring Indian modernity. The Godrej Indian Lab embarks on a journey to promote and invest in human capital by enhancing innovation in Indian society. So this is Vedika. I'm a 16-year-old student from Stonen International School interviewing Mr. Parmish
Yeah.
to understand more about equality in India. Today, the topic of discussion is about enriching a space for neurodiverse teens and helping them ensure a comfortable environment where equality is provided. So, Mr.
Hi,
Parmish, could you
Vedika. Thank you so much for doing this interview. Very happy to be chatting with you. The Godrej India Culture Lab, what you mentioned, shut down in 2020.
Oh,
So what I run now is the Godrej DI Lab, and it's godrejdilab.com. I can put it in the chat box. So, the Culture Lab ran between 2011 to 2021, actually. So,
what? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so I've just put it in the chat box. So if you go to the website and if you go to the About Us section over there, that'll give you like a closer understanding to what I do.
Mm-hmm. So, but like, I've only heard of the name Godrej, but what does it like do?
So Godrej is a 127-year-old Indian company
Mm-hmm.
making everything. It was started in, it's even older than the country of India, right? Because we are about, 70 something years old. Whereas Godrej as a company, I mean, India as a country is about 70, 80 years old, but Godrej is 127 years old, right? So hi, Tara. I don't know who Tara Miss Tivani.
Yeah, she's just accompanying me during this
Okay.
interview.
Hi, are you also at Stonehill? Yeah.
No, she's not.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, she's just there to supervise.
Cool. Cool, cool,
I'm
cool.
just here to see if Vedika is doing well. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So yeah. Um, Godrej does everything from soaps to real estate to, chemicals to everything. If you just go, again, I can put Godrej, if you see godrejindustries.com, I'm just going to put these links in the chat so you can check
Mhm.
them out.
Yeah,
And you'll
I
have an idea of what the group does, what the company does. I mean, it's a large conglomerate with thousands of employees. And so, what I ran, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Lab, is a way to make the group of companies more inclusive and, the people we hire and the products we make, in the stories we tell, and things like that. Yeah.
so so you are part of the human resources then, because like this is kind
So
of like
broadly, yeah, I mean, in most companies, diversity sits under human resources, but with us, it spans all different functions. So we've designed it a little differently. We're not only under human resources. I mean, we sit next to human resources, but we're also about product design, communication, and so on. So we don't report to the human resource team. We report to the chairperson of the company.
Uh, okay, so I also wanted to ask you about about the equality there. So,
Yeah.
do they provide any like what's the culture there, and do they promote young, individuals who are finding it hard and challenging in that society?
Yeah, so I think, over the years, I mean, first of all, we were founded in the idea of Indian independence, right? So even before India, a free India and equal India. And I think many of India's old companies, if you look at Godrej, Tata, so many of them had these more elevated, more noble ideals, in which we really want to create not just good business, but also society in which everyone is thriving. So I just think it's also over the years, many people thought that equity or equality meant only gender. And it's only in the past 10, 20 years that many organizations are realizing that there are many other dimensions. So it's not just gender, but it's also persons with disabilities, it's LGBTQIA, it's people from underrepresented regions. So I think, and the understanding is also has only recently come about that, you know, it has to be
about
equality for everyone, and there are so many different groups.
but like because like mostly in different like because I come from Bangalore, right?
Yeah,
There schools only focus on a particular, they only focus on either like gender equality and etc, but like they do not focus on people who are who are struggling to thrive in society, such
yeah,
as neurodiverse
yeah,
people,
yeah, yeah,
like especially me, where I'm like part of like I'm in the autism spectrum, and I do
yeah,
have ADHD, and it's kind of hard for me because
yeah,
schools are not doing that enough, like to help individuals like me.
yeah.
So,
No, I agree. I think there's a lot that schools, families, uh, you know, cities, states, companies, and all. I think it's just about now coming into the consciousness of people that there are, various kinds of diversity, including neurodiversities, um, and that, with just a little bit of, say, either technology or help or reasonable accommodation, one can really create a comfortable environment for persons from these spaces to thrive. And it's actually going to be very useful for organizations as well, because then you can bring the talent into these organizations and really do well. So yeah, so just for example, like so many of our group companies, it's, I mean, this is what reasonable accommodation is, right? It's trying to understand that person's needs and then do what is necessary. And so every group, every Godrej company has that. For example, if there are tests that are required for people to join the company in terms of aptitude or whatever, I mean, there would be longer time given and so on, right? In terms of everything. So I think with us at Godrej, as we're going on the journey, it's just trying to understand what are the specific requirements of each of group and figuring out what would be useful.
but do you like consult with people who are finding it hard? I mean,
Yeah.
because from what you're saying, I understand that provide them with extra time and you foster a culture where there's equality promoted, but like do you consult with them, help them, or like help them understand more about the society and help the society understand them as well?
Yeah, all the time, actually, all the time. We do events, we release books. If you go to our website, godrejdlab.com, I've put it in the chat.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there's a whole resource section in that, internal and external resources, in which we have hundreds of resources uh, for not just our employees, but for the world at large, in which we're building this database of knowledge as well. So we're doing like a lot of stuff in terms of getting people within the company to understand more, getting people in Indian society to understand more. We have a lot of people in our company who are on the spectrum, and having the talent within the company itself means so much, because then you can I mean, then the talent works with you to say, I think this would be good. So yeah, yeah.
But do you think honestly, like does the Indian society provide enough for young individuals, like
No, not at all. It doesn't provide enough for young individuals in most in most dimensions, not
uh,
just for neurodiversity. It's
what it was like for you? Like I heard that your that school life treated you well, but like but did you face any injustice like in society, like in the Indian society?
Yeah, no, so school life didn't treat me well as such. I mean, of course, I was bullied and all of that as well. But you asked me what it was like, and I said it was fine. There were ups and there were downs. I don't know if the school life treated me well, but I think I also had a certain amount of resilience at that time. And obviously, I want to create a world now in which, say, someone who's young today might not go through some of those challenges. But are there? I mean, yeah, there's a lot of inequity and inequality in our society today, for sure. I mean, even gender, which is something that people have been trying to address for, a few
Yeah,
hundred years, progress is so limited. Persons with disabilities, there's absolutely very little access in most public spaces, even though we have a very strong Right to Persons with Disabilities Act from 2016, which is, which directs the government, companies, etc., to provide these spaces. So there's lots to be done. Um, and like not enough is being done for sure. So is it challenging today? Of course, it is challenging. It's very, very challenging. Yeah.
But I think it's also got to do with cultures, yeah, because we come from a different culture. Because I think the U.S. kind of introduced all of the about the LGBTQ rights and movement started from US, and then it kind of got influenced. It influenced India. So, but our culture is different. So I think it might take some time, right? Because all of this was spread by the US.
No, I think Vedika, that's not true. We actually have, if you study Indian history, inclusivity is very much a part of Indian history and culture. In fact, we have over thousands of years been quite inclusive. Even when the US wasn't existing as as an imaginary country, we've had, very inclusive civilizations in India. So in India, when the British came, and when they put, their Victorian laws in India, that's when India went towards homophobia as such. I mean, and again, Indian society is not homophobic. It's just that the Indian society is more marriage centric, hetero marriage centric. And that coupled with all these British laws which criminalize being LGBTQ. So it's, homophobia in India is a British import, and the British left in 1947. So it's taken like, more than 70 years to try and get the homophobia out. So I think this narrative of LGBTQ rights coming from the US and all is not true. We've always had LGBTQ rights. We've had incredibly diverse and inclusive Indian societies.